In the heart of the tumultuous Vietnam War, a story unfolded that transcended the boundaries of the battlefield. A tale of alleged brutality, a web of conflicting narratives, and a legal drama that would forever alter the course of military justice. It was a story that questioned the very essence of war and the limits of human conduct. On November 12, 1969, the world stood still as investigative journalist Seymour Hersh revealed the massacre of innocent civilians in the remote village of My Lai. Overnight, the name William Calley became synonymous with the horrors of war. This young American soldier in his mid-20s found himself thrust into the spotlight, not for acts of valor, but for a crime so shocking it threatened to tear apart the fabric of society. Calley, a man of contrasting personas, was known by two distinct names: Rusty among his comrades and Bill to his family. He was a decorated veteran, having previously received the Bronze Star and the Combat Infantryman's Badge. But now, these accolades seemed like a distant memory as he was painted as the embodiment of evil. Charged with the heinous act of killing at least 109 Vietnamese civilians, Calley became the focal point of a case that shook the world. The weight of these accusations was immense, threatening to overshadow Calley's entire existence. The crime scene itself, a small hamlet in the sun-my village of My Lai, was a somber reminder of the gravity of the situation. There, on March 16, 1968, during a routine search-and-destroy mission, Calley allegedly led his platoon in a horrifying display of violence that left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of humanity. According to the accounts of survivors and official investigations, Calley and his men had entered the village with the intent of rooting out Viet Cong fighters. However, what followed was far from a conventional battle. Instead of facing an armed resistance, they encountered a scene that defied their expectations. Non-combatants, including women, children, and the elderly, fell victim to the alleged rampage. Homes were burned, corpses were mutilated, and the tranquility of the village was shattered by the sounds of gunfire and screams. Amidst the chaos, allegations of war crimes surfaced, casting a long shadow over Calley's actions. As news of the massacre spread, a wave of outrage and disbelief swept across the nation. Critics argued that if such atrocities were committed, they were not sanctioned by the Geneva Convention or the laws of armed conflicts. They called for swift and severe punishment, demanding accountability for those responsible. Proponents of Calley, on the other hand, portrayed him as a victim of circumstance, trapped in the complexities of war and forced to make impossible decisions in the heat of the moment. Under intense public scrutiny, the U.S. Army initiated a series of investigations to unravel the truth behind the massacre. Evidence was gathered, testimonies were taken, and a comprehensive report was compiled. As the findings were released to the public, shockwaves reverberated across the nation. The report confirmed the horrifying details of the massacre, leaving many to question the extent of Calley's involvement. Calley himself became a recluse, withdrawing from public view and grappling with the weight of the accusations. Confined to his barracks at Fort Benning, he was under tight guard, cut off from the outside world. The media frenzy reached fever pitch, with journalists clamoring to get a glimpse of the man accused of one of the most heinous crimes of the war. As the legal proceedings commenced, public sentiment was deeply divided. Some saw Calley as a monster, devoid of empathy and capable of unspeakable acts. Others viewed him as a product of his environment, shaped by the brutal realities of war. Supporters argued that he had acted under extreme duress, facing life-threatening situations that left him with no other options. Detractors, however, remained steadfast in their belief that no amount of justification could excuse the alleged massacre. The trial of William Calley became a battle of narratives, with each side presenting compelling arguments. Witnesses took the stand, offering their accounts of the events that transpired in My Lai. Their testimonies painted a vivid picture of the horror that unfolded, leaving the jury with a heavy burden to bear. In the end, it was the prosecution that prevailed, finding Calley guilty of premeditated murder. The verdict sent shockwaves across the country, marking a significant moment in military justice. On March 21, 1971, Calley was sentenced to life imprisonment, a decision that sparked both relief and controversy. Supporters of the verdict argued that it served as a warning to other soldiers, reminding them that even in the heat of battle, they were not above the law. Detractors, however, believed that the sentence was too harsh, considering the complexities of the situation on the ground. As Calley's appeal process began, public sentiment continued to be divided. Some celebrated the conviction as a victory for justice, while others viewed it as an example of the failings of the military justice system. The higher courts were tasked with the responsibility of reviewing the case, weighing the evidence, and deciding whether Calley's conviction stood. Throughout this time, Calley's confinement at Fort Benning continued, a stark reminder of the consequences of his alleged actions. He spent his days locked away, cut off from the outside world, as his future hung in the balance. After careful deliberation, the appeals court overturned Calley's conviction, citing a lack of evidence to support the charges against him. This decision brought temporary relief to Calley, but the battle for his freedom was far from over. As the case made its way through the appeals process, public opinion remained a contentious issue. Supporters of Calley argued that he was a victim of circumstance, caught in the crossfire of a senseless war. Detractors, however, remained convinced of his guilt, citing the harrowing accounts of the massacre survivors. Finally, after years of legal battles, President Gerald Ford granted Calley a pardon in 1974. The news of his pardon sent shockwaves across the country, igniting a new wave of controversy. Supporters hailed it as a symbol of redemption, arguing that Calley had already suffered enough. Detractors, however, saw it as a betrayal of justice, believing that Calley's crimes warranted punishment rather than forgiveness. With his pardon, Calley's long ordeal came to an end. He was free to resume his life, though forever marked by the shadow of his past. The My Lai Massacre remained a haunting chapter in military history, a grim reminder of the atrocities that can occur even in the midst of war. William Calley, once a decorated soldier, became a symbol of the complexities of war and the blurred lines between right and wrong. Whether viewed as a hero or a villain, his story continues to captivate and divide, forcing us to confront the darkest aspects of human nature. As we reflect on the legacy of My Lai, it is crucial to remember the victims and honor their memory. Their stories should not be forgotten, for they are a testament to the horrors of war and the importance of seeking justice. It is also essential to learn from the mistakes of the past and strive to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The My Lai Massacre serves as a powerful reminder that even in the midst of conflict, humanity must prevail. It calls for compassion, understanding, and a commitment to peace. If you found this video informative and want to know more about historical cases, stay tuned for updates. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching.